right, guys, how we doing? Happy Monday. Here we are. It is 11/11. November 11th, kind of middle of the day. So today we had enough fall here in Bitcoin here that I just threw it open to any crypto asset, and no surprise here. You guys were looking for an update on Bitcoin. Now, we're going to get there in a second, and I know there's a lot on here. Let me take this off. I know that's annoying because I talk with my hands, or with my hand on the mouse, I should say. All right, so we're going to get here in a second, all right? But I thought, so often my objective is not always just to, let's talk about, where the next trade is, but to get a little education along the way here. So I thought this would be a decent case to do this, and then we'll finish up and we'll take a look at the count here, which is, not without its challenges. All right, so I thought I'd start here. So this is a 2 hour here, and we're Bitcoin to the dollar on Bitstamp. Now, I've got this wicked off here. This is our absolute low down here, our 30. When we get the Bitstamp, what was it, 30.88. All right, now, so just so we know that that's our low here. Now, we've been over this dozens of times. But just for the review, all right, so swing low, swing high. We get a slight front run on the golden zone here, right? So we know that's a responsive level. Algos are going to participate there, so we get the reaction there. Now, what I have on here is a Schiff pitchfork, right? Now, you've seen lots of we've looked at this with channels, with fib channels, but I thought that it might be a good, just a teachable moment here to show you this. And, the Schiff is an underutilized variation on the original pitchfork, and I will often be looking for Schiff pitchforks in corrections. So here we have the pretty substantial correction. So I thought it would be worthwhile just to get the first three pivots of the entire correction, put the Schiff pitchfork on this, and then show you how we lined up here. And then, of course, along the way, in the context of this entire correction, going from our swing high to our golden zone, there are a series of little swings and corrections, obviously, within this, where some pitchfork application has been helpful in terms of guiding the end of corrections, whether they're counter trend or not. And perhaps here there's something we can glean from this, because as we come down here and get the median line here, the first break from the downsloping upper parallel here comes off of the reaction down here where we intersect. We get through the median line by a few. We get to the golden zone, we get this big rip up, and we break the downsloping. Now the 150, right, in green, right, holds it here. So we still have this Schiff pitchfork containing. This is giving us the market's geometry here. So we still have that contained here. And one other thing is just worth noting here, because you look at that and go, wow, straight up, man. Wow. Whew. We're just on a rocket ship. Wonder why it stops there. So we're going to use the secondary pivot here, and we're going to go down to our absolute low here, and we get the exact same thing here. Exactly within couple of sats, right? So we get a slight front run here, slight front run here. So what do we have in Bitcoin? Just, right, you see this all the time. We're just stuck between two golden zones, right? So that's all that's happening here, right? One algorithm is selling it here, the other one is buying it here. So who's going to win? Well, remains to be seen, but right now this is why we are stuck in this range. Right, so one side's going to break. We know that, all right? Or we're going to go side. Well, shit. We've been going sideways for a while. But one of these will break, which will be our tell as to which way we're going next. So just in the interest of clearing this up and just for a little bit of education along the way here, I'm going to take these off. All right, so now we know why we stop here and why we stop here. All right, let me just reset this here. Now, I've got a series of pitchforks here that I just put them on here. Just trying to put a little education into it. So let's see if I do it. Yeah, let's do it this way. All right, so we've got the big one here. Oh, I think we do it this way. So let's pop. So that's not the one I want. I want this one. All right, so we'll take them down one at a time. Okay, so there's that one. That's our dominant. Okay, the next one we have here is an internal here where we're showing the correction here. So here I get a nice ABC. You'll note here, swing high, we get a lower pivot here. But we get a nice, it just comes shy here. Well, it touches it here, then we come just shy here. Remember, a failure to make the median line here, as we fail to get there, well, you could make a case here, we just run into a double top there. But remember, failure to make the median line, trading principle number 4, if we're not making it here, it sets up a move equal to or greater than the move that preceded it and failed to get there. Right? So it's very, very tight here, but that seems to be trading principle number 4 in play there. So let me get a few more of these back up here. So we'll get the big one back on. So here's our little correction where it gave us some insight into when that correction was likely over with the break here. Retest, this is something you'll see all the time, very frequent, just like a channel. We'll break it, we'll come back, retest, and then we get the power move. Oh, next one, well, I'm going to get to that one last here. So let's get that one. Oh, shit. Now I got to keep track of them. I thought I had these in the right order. Okay, so we've got this one here. So this is just, again, traditional. Note here when we get very close here, often just as I did here, when the pivots are very close together, that's almost going to necessitate using the original recipe. All right, so to accommodate the steepness. Same thing here. We get original. Well, let's put them all on there. We can just get them all on. We'll kind of go through them one at a time here. I want this last one. Yeah, shit. Was it this one? Yeah, that's the last one. All right, so as we're coming down here in the dominant shift pitchfork here, so these little corrections here, right? As we hit the upper parallel, median line, down we go. Little ABC, right? Tag it, come just shy up, sets up the failure swing, down we go, equal to or greater than. Now here we get a little short one, we get a little AB, we go right to it, to the tick here. Falls away. What's interesting here is note what happens here. We come back up, we get it again to the tick, which is why, so after you head down here, it'd be very tempting to just throw that off. When I was kind of using this as an example here, could be worthwhile to just keep that somewhere and just hide it. Shit, now I'm not going to remember which one that is, but you get my point here. Just instead of, because if you saw something like that, you might forget to draw it again. So there it is, right to the tick here, right? So again, it's very unusual, but coincidence? Coincidence? Is that one? Was it this one? Oh shit, I think it was this one. All right, so coincidence? All right, is that what keeps us from getting to the golden zone? Runs into the median line? Hard to say. Hard to say, but it's just kind of interesting. So here's the 80%, right? So here's the golden corner, right? So from right here, right? We get that, tags it, down we go. So with all of that, so what I'm going to let's see if I can hide them all. Now that I've got them. That's the last one I want. So I'm going to hide. All right. So now, given how responsive that was to the market. Coming over here to our hard right edge, hoping I haven't confused you too much there. So as we look at this here, and of course the assumption has been we're in a 1 and we're seeking the 2, so this is getting tricky, right? The Elliott count is unclear. Right? Anyone who tells you they know the count here is, nobody knows it, right? You can do your best. That's all you can do, right? That's all we're after here. Can we organize to create probability zones or probabilities of moves having finished or not finished, right? So, again, there's nothing that mandates that this must come down in a perfect A, B, C, D, E, finish with a 5, but often, right, very often, you'll see that will be the case. So that's really all we're trying to do with Elliott Wave and say, okay, does that look like we have a 5 here? Well, it's not required. It doesn't, just because we're looking for the 5, and that would make sense with the Elliott count, doesn't mean that it must do it. I think that's something that people get, they lean on it too hard and saying, oh God, well, it's got to finish in 5. I mean, does it? Does it have to finish in 5? Is that really 5? So just, don't, you put it in context, right? So again, I keep, this has just been coming up a lot lately with members and a lot of the Q&A that I get from people here. Elliott Wave is not great for predicting the future. It's very good for organizing the past. And where we can create, again, as I often will say, it's a probability zone. but just constantly, it's got to be here. It can't be this because it didn't do that, I think is a mistake in the application of Elliott Wave. Now, I'm not a purist, right? It's third in priorities for me, personally, right? Do I use it? Of course. Does it guide my decision making? Well, it influences it, but it's certainly not where I start. All right, so having gone through that, can we extract any value from this? Well, one thing the point I was trying to make over here, oh shit, we'll just draw it again. Let's go down to a 1 hour here. We can see this a little bit better. All right, now where are you? Over here. Is that one? Yeah, it's that one. Okay, let's get you off here. All right, so I had to get a little creative, and sometimes there's a little bit of experimentation to just say, where? So because it's a correction, I started looking with the Schiff to see, okay, so I nailed these down here. So you start here, it's too far away. This seems to be some sort of an oddly shaped ABC with a truncation of the C. Now, whether or not we end up definitively labeling this as a DE into a triangle B, kind of remains to be seen. So I leave that there. That's the count that seems to make the most sense here, partly because there is 0 ways to count that as a 5. 0, right? That's a 3, period, right? So 3 down looks like it's 3 into the DE, but then, it would be more convenient if this was the 1, but it is not, per Elliott, right? It's not a 1, right? And even if you were thinking diagonal, you don't get the overlap. So you're kind of screwed here with an Elliott count that you can have much conviction in. Now, anyone who tells you they know what the count is here is completely full of shit. Nobody knows how this is going to resolve. This is very unusual. We had the pump wick and then the dump. Again, lower the time frame, the more the noise, the more the chop. Look, now here we're at a 60-minute. Look at all the chop in here. Right, go out to a daily or a weekly where 4 hours and above is where you're really going to get the most where Elliott Wave, I think, can guide your decision making the most effectively. Down here, you're changing your count all the time. Kind of annoying, but right, I'm saying don't do it. I'm just saying recognize that it's just a way to organize the information here. Let's leave it at that. All right, so we swing low, swing high. I went to the secondary pivot just to see. So we get a tag here. That sets up our reaction. This does seem to be containing the market via the Schiff pitchfork. Now, that it would kind of set you up here. If this is the B, right, the only place I can get a 5 to give me a 1 is here. Now, that would give me an overlap here, creating this. You can make a case for an ABC in here. This is a little bit more of a stretch. So unless you've got a 5, 3, you can't, 5, 3, you can't dig it out there, right? You can't really make that work. You're kind of stuck with a 3 here, so you'd have to trade this. If you're trying to get this to work, you got to go ABC into that 1, which I don't love. But then ABC into this, ABC into this. So the shaping here, the symmetry here is just absolutely awful, right? So now you're trying to get that to finish as a diagonal, meaning, right, if you just use your Elliott tools here, right, you're trying to go that. No, it's good luck with that, right? So, but you want to try and label it somehow, some way. So, is this the 4 of this 1? I don't know. So, does that mean you can't trade it? Well, of course not, right? So that's as I said before. So we have a swing, we have a deep retracement, and now it does look like we're trying to get 5 down, right? But it looked like that the other day. It looked like the last time we did it, it looked like we had 1, 2, 3. We were going into the 4 here. We were heading down for the 5. Okay, that would have made sense. Now this just puts a monkey in the wrench, right? So what? How do we label that? Well, the answer is I don't know, nor does anyone else, until we resolve this. So what can we do? What can we use here? Well, if you're going to stick with the idea that we've got the B here and we're going down, I suppose there's a couple of very bearish counts. So one very bearish count would be that all we've done here is just put in a 1, 2, and we're going 3, 4, 5. Right? We can't eliminate that possibility. Yes, I'm a bull. I often get shit or comments from people saying, well, how about the bear count? Well, right. So because of the depth of this retracement, there's your bear count, right? We're going to do something like this. We're going to go down here and test these lows. Because, and I'll show you why. Because if we swing here to here, right? So we're between the 50 and the 618. Whether you're using it there or you're going to stay with the triangle, now we've gone golden zone, right? So now you'd be just pulling a, yeah, good luck digging it out of there. But maybe that's A, B, C into the 2. We're going to finish with a diagonal. So you've got 1, 2 in the golden zone, 3 on the way, 4, 5, and you're back down here at these lows. Do I think that's what's going to happen? No, I don't. Right? So if that's not how I'm going to trade it, so at least now we've covered it. Okay, so swing low, retrace to the golden zone. Well, here's my algo target, right? So I don't, as I said, I know what happened here. I'm not going, well, wonder why it stopped there. That certainly would tee it up rather nicely. Now, if we're going to get a little more legs on it, maybe this median line is back in play. But swing, golden zone, target. Okay, well, so we know, right? We've talked about this enough times. We know what we have here. All right, so let's just do a quick recap of this. How many golden zones have we tagged in here? Well, just from what we know here, this golden zone, the big pivot, we know that was golden zone. If we go out to the, well, just to show you again, golden zone, right? So we know that. All right, so let's go back here. Swing. Yeah, this is beyond golden zone. Interesting though that we come back to golden zone here. Right? Swing, golden zone. Swing from this high to this pivot, golden zone. From this pivot, swing low, golden zone. Okay. Here's the golden zone down here. From the swing low, from the swing low, I got an alert on that. Swing low down here, right, through our pivot, golden zone. So here's what I can say with a lot of confidence, right? If we do that, there's going to be a reaction there. Now, does that mean we're off to the races? The lows end? I wouldn't be that. I wouldn't be that foolish to say, okay, I'm certain that's what's happening here. Do we have the probability? What we can say is that we have the probability here that's reasonably high here that we're going to get a reaction. So if you don't want to try and pick the turn, you wait for the, right, this is what you'd be looking for. And you can see, right, so we can use a little Elliott here, say, okay, maybe 1, 2, 3 is going in, 4, one more kick down from the 4 to the 5. That would put us right in the sweet spot where, my view, right? That's a must take. Absolutely zero hesitation. So absolutely going to put a stop on it. But that, what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 golden zones on significant pivots. Yeah, that's one I'd want to take. So you might also just kind of draw up some, using a channel or just a trend line here. That kind of intersection down here would be of interest. How about we say it that way? So whether you're labeling or hitting some alerts on some of these levels as we come down here, don't assume that we're going to go to the 65. Don't assume anything. But when we approach down here, assuming we do, right? So let's not assume that this is inevitable. It seems like high probability, but it's not inevitable. Right, this for all we know, this is our low. But if we do come down here, I want to know as we're approaching, right, for the possibility that we get something that comes out of there quickly. I mean, look at this one, right? We had a little stutter here, but then the scream comes, right? So I'd want to be aware here, and if I'm waiting, right, so the downsloping trend line, reasonable spot, right? So something like that. I want to know when we get here. So, again, it's not load the boat here, but I want a piece here. Right? Because the risk reward is so favorable, right? So I wouldn't put it a tick under the 65. I'd give it a little wiggle room, give it a little room there. But you're not. What are we talking about here? From 84.78 to 83.39. It's a reasonable amount of risk reward considering the potential here, right? If that's going to be our pivot for our 2, if if this is going to be our 2, hard not to like it. Right now there's going to be all sorts of resistance to get through. Lots of resistance to get through on the way back up. If we're going to get our pivot down here, if we're going to get that pivot, well, we would start with maybe something like this, and then we go. Then we just, same thing, we would just kind of get some geometry around it. Can we get something like that? Now for trending, I'd look for original, right? Corrections, I'll go to Schiff. Trending, I want to look at original recipe here. So if I can get a 1, 2, 3 going here, okay, looks good. But as we come down here, you know, I sure want to know about it if we get down to that level. I don't think there's much else I can add there. All right, so we got a little geometry lesson and then maybe a setup here that could be substantial. All right, guys, there you go. All right, try and get one more today. Okay, back to you.